Okay. You would join me, please? Welcome. This is the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting for the City of Hendersonville. It's May 10th, 2022, approximately 7 p.m. We're going to begin our meeting as we typically do, and that's with a prayer and a pledge. Fortunately for us tonight, we have Pastor Michael Davis. He's from First Presbyterian Church of Hendersonville. Mike's going to lead us in prayer, and then we'll go straight from that into the pledge. Michael's been in Hendersonville for several years. We appreciate everything you do and everything that your congregation does, and it's wonderful to have you here tonight.
Thank you. Let us pray. Wonderful God, you are the great architect who designed and created this beautiful, complex world. This world reflects your beauty and power from the ocean floors to the galaxies beyond our eyes. You are still and always will be the creator who is always doing something new and wonderful. Thank you for each person here and those represented, Mayor Clary, the aldermen, staff, and employees of our city. We thank you for each department head. We thank you for all those who make Hendersonville clean, safe, and protected. Thank you for their hard work, dedicated hours, and commitment to serve our city. Bless and guide these people and their families. In a world that is divided, angry, and conflicted, we pray for you, Lord, to give these leaders wisdom beyond what any individual contains, patience and kindness to listen when diverse ideas and opinions are shared, and compassion to care for those most vulnerable. Lead them, Lord, as they hear reports, discuss opinions, and make decisions. Give them courage and integrity, knowing that you are God and you are here to guide their decisions. Thank you for this wonderful city and those who help sustain and enable it to thrive. In Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. Again, that's Pastor Michael Davis. He's from First Presbyterian Church here in Hendersonville. Thank you so much, Pastor Davis. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Annette, can you call the roll for us?
Yes. Brown. Collins.
Here.
Cunningham.
Here.
Dixon. Edwards.
Here.
Hayes. Peterson.
Here.
Petrelli.
Here.
Phillips.
Here.
Robertson.
Present.
Skidmore.
Here.
Waters.
Here.
And Clary.
Here.
So that's 11.
That's 11 of us, okay. Next, thank you for that. Next, I'm going to entertain a motion to accept our agenda. We have a motion from Alderman Waters, a second from Alderman Cunningham. Alderman Brown.
I would like to amend our agenda or add to our agenda Resolution 2022-24 that was passed in general committee tonight simply because of time frames that this individual will affect them if we don't make a decision on this by May the 21st. So I would please ask that be done.
We have a motion to add an item to the agenda. A second from Alderman Waters. Let's go ahead and vote on that. Alderman Robertson, discussion on this item?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will give that to you shortly once we add it.
Okay, we have copies coming out as soon as that. Alderman Cunningham, any discussion on this item?
That's what
Okay, thank you. So let's go ahead and vote on this item. All in favor of adding this item to the agenda? This is Resolution 2022-24. Please signify by pressing the green button. Those opposed, please press the red one. We're missing somebody. Oh, there we go. That passes unanimously. Thank you all for that. I do want to make a mention that our public hearing is for Resolution 2022-22. That is a resolution regarding issuance of bonds for Red Cedar Glen. And I just want to make sure that we understand that's what that public hearing is for. It's just listed as a public hearing. So we have an amendment to our agenda that has passed. Any other discussion on the agenda? All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, please signify by pressing the green button. Those opposed, please press the red one. We will wait for Alderman Brown to...
Brown's running.
Okay. That was Alderman Brown running. Okay. That passes unanimously. Thank you all. Next, we're into presentations. We're good, right? Okay. Can I have Laura? Super. So I want to read a little bit about, let me show that. Oh, there we go. I want to read a little bit about CASA, Court-Appointed Special Advocate. This is Laura Muller here with me, and I'm going to ask her to speak after I finish because she can explain a lot more reasons why we're having this proclamation tonight. Whereas the Court-Appointed Special Advocates Program was originally conceptualized in 1976 to recruit and train volunteers to be advocates for children that are victims of abuse and neglect, and whereas Sumner County CASA accepted its first case from the juvenile court in April 1992 and has served over 4,000 children since then. And whereas Sumner County CASA assists approximately 175 children in an average year and is part of the National CASA Network with 950 programs throughout 49 states. And whereas Sumner County CASA celebrates 30 years of providing advocacy for children by providing the juvenile court with comprehensive and objective information that allows the court to make the most well-informed decisions to help the children to reach permanency. And whereas research has shown that when CASA is appointed, outcomes are strengthened for both children and families, so that every child who has experienced abuse or neglect can be safe and have a permanent home with the opportunity to thrive, that more needed services are ordered, and that these children are less likely to re-enter the child welfare system. Now, therefore, I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee, do proclaim, and incredibly pleased to be able to do this, that Sumner County CASA that Sumner County CASA advocates provide a voice and operate the best interests of the children that they serve, and encourage all citizens to join me in recognizing their hard work and dedication to improving the lives of children that are victims of abuse and neglect in our community. Laura, I'm going to ask you to say something, to speak a little bit and tell us more about where CASA is and what all y'all are doing. So I appreciate it very much, and that's yours to keep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you all for having us tonight. We're very thankful to the board for taking the time to acknowledge the 30 years of service that we have put in Sumner County. As Mayor Clary mentioned, it is our 30th anniversary last month, which we're very proud of, and the work that we do in Sumner County. Our offices are in Gallatin, but we do have ties in Hendersonville. When Sumner County CASA was started 30 years ago, it was actually formed with the Hendersonville Women's Club, and retired Judge Barry Brown started Sumner County CASA 30 years ago. What we do is we try to provide the eyes and ears for the court. We try to give them that extra bit of information about the children that we serve, so that the court can make the best decisions for children with regard to their permanency, with their safety, and their well-being. The kids we serve are from all across Sumner County, and at this point, we actually have more kids that have originated in Hendersonville than any other city within the county. So our ties to Hendersonville are strong. We're also very thankful to the city of Hendersonville for the grant funds that we receive every year to kind of keep our doors open, so that we can continue to serve the children, who come before the juvenile court as a result of abuse or neglect. I've been with Sumner County CASA for about 5 years. I'm a resident of Hendersonville. There's just 3 of us on staff. We currently are serving around 100 children, and we have about 35 active volunteers. We are always looking for more volunteers, and we will provide complete training to be able to, have those volunteers actively serve and advocate for our most vulnerable children in the county. I think that's about it. We're just very appreciative of the acknowledgement this evening and the continued support from the city of Hendersonville. Thank you.
Where do you want? Okay. Yeah, Julie, where's Julie? Whereas Older Americans Month was established to focus on concerns of those citizens aged 65 and older and the support programs made available to them, and whereas originally called Senior Citizen Month in 1963 by the National Council of Senior Citizens along with President John F. Kennedy, The name was later changed to Older Americans Month by President Lyndon Johnson after passing of the Older American Act in 1965. And whereas the Older Americans Act of 1965 established the Administration on Aging, introduced additional assistance programs to help older Americans, and covered research and training in the field of aging. The Older Americans Act has been reauthorized many times over the years and has included programs to improve long-term care, better screen and prevent elder abuse, and implement programs focused on falls prevention and chronic disease self-management. And whereas Age My Way is this year's theme, which provides an opportunity for all of us to explore the many ways older adults can remain in and be involved with their communities. Now, therefore, I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee, do proclaim the month of May 2022 as Older Americans Month, and I urge all citizens to take time during this month to recognize and honor older adults and acknowledge the contributions they have made to our community. This is Julie White. She's the Executive Director for the Hendersonville Senior Center, and she can tell you much more about what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. I just want to give you guys a little bit of information. We got some recent numbers. I know you all know who GNRC is. That is where we get our state and federal money. It funnels through an agency in Nashville. It's the Greater Nashville Regional Council. And there are 8 other of their counterparts across the state of Tennessee. They gave us these numbers, and they're pretty staggering, actually. Hendersonville alone, within a 5-mile radius of our address at 197 Imperial Boulevard, there are 16,000 people that live there, 65 and over. Did y'all know that? I didn't. Within a 5-mile radius of that building, there are 11,295 households with people age 65 and over in them. And the final one, which is pretty interesting because Sumner County, all of Sumner County is only 21.7%, but the Hendersonville, 27.6% of total households have seniors living in them at various ages. So those are some pretty interesting numbers, and we have a problem because there are so many people that are moving here that are bringing their elderly grandmothers, grandfathers, etc. The problem is we don't have anywhere for them to go, and we are bursting at the seams. We have 122 new members that have joined the Senior Center since July 1st. That's more than what joined in 2 years prior to that. So it's a good problem to have, but I need y'all's help because we can't do it alone. It does take a village, and I believe we have a good one. We have about 67 volunteers, and that brings me to my closing remark. We are in desperate need of volunteers. You don't have to know how to do anything but sit there and smile. We need people that can sit at the desk that for 4 hours at a time, Monday through Friday. We'll train you. We'll tell you what to do, tell you how to, just be nice to people. But when people walk in the door, they need to see that smiling face. And COVID did a number on all of us, especially us nonprofits. And a lot of our seniors are no longer coming out. So we need to replenish them with new seniors. So if any of you know of anyone who might fit that bill, please call me and let me know, and we would love to talk with them. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you. I have you two guys? Yeah. Oh, Jamie Crosser and, let's see. Yeah. Yes. Oh, sorry. And Chief Bush. Is there anybody else here with an anniversary working for the city? I think it's just these two gentlemen. They represent 65 years. So let me read this. Whereas you're observing your 35-year service anniversary of the city of Hendersonville, and whereas the Board of Mayor and Aldermen appreciates your commitment to excellence for our city, now therefore I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the city of Hendersonville, would like to commend you, Jeffrey, Chief Scotty Bush, for your dedication and service. This is 35 years to our chief. There you go. And then this is 30 years to Jamie Crossler. There we go. I want to read some of the other folks who couldn't be here tonight. Robert Pryor, 25 years. James Roller, a lot of you know him as Tim. That's 25 years. James Barnes, that's 30 years. Wayne Clifford, 30 years. Let's see. David Harrington, 30 years. Wesley Patrick is 30 years. Daniel Lawrence is 35 years. That's Larry. No, Commander Daniel, sorry, okay. Barry Russell is 35 years, and Danny Laycock is 45 years. Yeah. You guys want to come forward? Can you join us? Can I have the Burns family up here with me? There's no doubt I think this is pretty cool. I appreciate what y'all have done, and I think you have figured out what this is about at this point. Let me read a little bit. Whereas baby William Burns was born on Thursday, April 28th, 2022, with the assistance from the Hendersonville Fire Department, and whereas on the night of the 28th, as the family was preparing to head to the hospital, Quincy Burns' water broke at her front door, and whereas after receiving a 911 call from the Burns family, members of Fire Station 5's A shift responded to the scene, and whereas Captain EMT David Osborne and firefighters EMTs Ryan Chandler and Will Davis assisted with welcoming the new baby boy, William, into the world. Now, therefore, I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, today do proclaim that the Hendersonville Fire Department was quick and professional in their response, and I encourage all citizens to show their gratitude for their service in our community, both in times of loss and times of joy. I have proclamations for each of these gentlemen, and Chief Bush, I'd like for you to come up and tell a little bit more. Sorry, I just sprung this on you. That's one each for you, and then I also have, actually, there's a fourth proclamation in there, because we're going to frame it and make sure that it goes somewhere that our firefighters see on a regular basis. This is the family here. Here's little William. I appreciate y'all being here tonight. So, April 22nd?
28th.
28th, okay. So, so not even a month old yet. So, I'm going to have you tell a little bit more.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So obviously, these folks see people at their worst time, and I felt like this was an opportunity for them to write a check to the good bank account. We see a lot of things in our job, our line of work, that affects folks mentally and physically, and obviously, this was a great turnout. I'm very happy that the family's here. Glad that baby Will's turned out. The doula's here. That's the head coach. All the praise goes to the family, of course. But my staff, of course, responded very well and were coached very well. So I do appreciate you recognizing them. They do have something for baby Will to give. So maybe Will can grow up. It's never too young to start recruiting firefighters. So we're starting today. So thank you.
So, this gentleman right here is going to take the picture. We're just trying to find a good spot to do it. Where's a good spot, Chief?
Wherever they're comfortable, if they want to do it right there.
Well, you're in it also, so.
We'll do one here. I think I want to move you guys. Jason, what'd you get? Ready? Yep. 1, 2.
You're good. 1, 2, 3.
I want to get one more so we can see City of Hendersonville in the background rather than the trash can too. So if you guys,
Here's what we can do. We can get this down. If y'all just want to stand right there. Okay, okay. So next on our agenda is a public hearing, and this is for Resolution 22-22. This is a public hearing regarding the issuance of bonds for Red Cedar Glen, a senior living facility here in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Do we have anybody, we had advertised that. Do we have anybody wishing to speak on this in this public hearing? Okay, so we've completed that public hearing. Next, we need to move on to the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our April 26, 2022 meeting. We have a motion from Alderman Waters, a second from Alderman Brown. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of approving the minutes as they were provided to you in your packet, please press the green button. Those opposed, please press the red one. We have 10 people voting in favor, 1 against, except 0 against, and 1 abstention. That's from Alderman Phillips. So that passes. Next, we have citizen comments. Speakers for citizen comments must identify themselves by name and address. Public comment should be limited to 5 minutes per individual, which time is not transferable to other speakers. All comments are to be directed to the presiding officer, not to the alderman, city staff, or other members of the public. Comments must address issues, not individuals or personalities. Personal attacks shall not be tolerated. Comments may support or oppose particular issues or measures, but the motives of those with differing views shall not be questioned or attacked. Malicious comments will not be allowed. Speeches for or against particular candidates running for public office shall not be allowed. We have 1 person signed up, and that's Robert Little of Raindrop Drive.
I was here to the last meeting, April 26th. That time, I found out I only had 5 minutes to talk about anything, so tonight I'm only going to cover one subject. That's a drain pipe in my yard. The pictures I showed you last meeting, which I'm going to show again, were just from a light rain a previous week before I took the pictures. You saw the amount of water that comes from Stop 30 that flows through my yard. Here are the pictures. If you have noticed, the cement diverter at the bottom of the picture does not line up with the culvert or the drain pipe. After that, water settles in there, and also bugs and everything else grows in that. Another thing that 15 years ago, when my daughter was growing up, I told her and the neighbor kids not to climb into the pipe. Now, since I'm older, kids are gone. I have a new set of kids coming in through the yard, and I'm afraid they're going to get in the pipe again. Also, there's another problem as the holes in the yard. I have the trash bin that goes through my yard from 314 to 316. I'm afraid someday one of the trash men are going to find that hole and sink and have another problem. Last year, after many years of complaining to the city of the drainage problem, Creekwood Lane side was finally fixed. Here's some photos of Creekwood that they finally had their problem fixed. When the city started repairing the drainage pipe on Creekwood Lane, I contacted Mr. Robinson because I had not heard anything about my pipe also being repaired. He came out at that time and took photos of my damaged pipe that is under my yard. Is that correct, Mr. Robinson? Correct. Okay. Mr. Robinson last year also told I was on schedule to have my pipe repaired. That is also correct, right? I was on the waiting list to have my pipe repaired. Mr. Robinson?
Well, hold on here. Mr. Little, this is your opportunity to speak. We typically don't respond.
Okay, well.
So it's something, when we get to it, that he's welcome to speak more.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But anyway, he told me the pipe would be repaired. Mrs. Skidmore, here's the email I received back in 2013 saying my pipe would be repaired. Says, you read the email, I've been lied to again. I'm trying to find out in the last 2 weeks, since no one's brought this up to me, why no one has commented to me about doing the pipe. Everyone has looked at my damage to the pipe. This water theme came out years ago, and still no work. So I'm just trying to figure out when and ever is my pipe going to be repaired.
Anything else, Mr. Little?
Nah, just waiting.
Okay.
As you can see, I've been working on this for many years. I just wonder why the city never does anything for me. The pictures show how Creekwood was repaired totally. They put in a new drain underneath the street, repaved the street.
Got about 30 seconds.
I just want to make sure everyone reads Mr. Skidmore's email to me back in 2013. I'd like to have that entered in the record also. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Robertson, do you have something for the agenda? Is that? We could discuss this when we get to the COO's report.
I think I'll wait till we get to Public Works.
Okay, okay,
Committee.
okay. Okay. Thank you, okay. Okay. We have no items for the consent agenda. Now we're to ordinance and resolutions. The first item is second and final reading of ordinance 2022-07. This is an ordinance appropriating funds for the construction of a fire hall at 1342 Drakes Creek Road. We have a motion from Alderman Petrelli and a second from Alderman Cunningham. Alderman Brown? Sorry, okay. Any discussion? Again, second reading. All those in favor of second reading of ordinance 2022-7, please signify by pressing the green button. Those opposed, please press the red one. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Our next item is first reading of ordinance 2022-08. This is an ordinance approving the sale of surplus city property near Fire Hall Number 5 for its fair market value. We have a motion from Alderman Waters and a second from Alderman Robertson. Any discussion? All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2022-08, please signify by pressing the green button. Those opposed, please press the red one. That passes 10-1. Alderman Petrelli voted against it. Next, we have item 3. This is resolution 2022-22. This is a resolution approving the issuance of senior living revenue bonds for capital improvements to senior living facilities, Red Cedar Glen in Hendersonville. We have a motion from Alderman Cunningham and a second from Alderman Collins. Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of, or just really one question. Can someone kind of familiarize about this, where, like where this came from? And I've never seen anything like this in terms, I'm not saying that I'm against it, obviously, but I'd just like a little more clarification on the city getting into bonding a living facility. I'm not sure of that. So
I'll address that, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor. Yeah, this is called a private activity bond, and part of the process you have to go through to make these tax exempt is that the governing body in the locality has to approve the issuance of the bonds.
Okay.
We don't have any financial responsibility. We're just saying that we'd like to see Red Cedar Glen rehabilitated. And these are major improvements. Several $1 million going to be spent on Red Cedar Glen, which is, I believe, on Walton Ferry Road.
Hold on a second. Alderman Skidmore, anything else?
Not at this
hold on,
point, but thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alderman Collins.
This is a refinancing of a bond issuance that we already approved as a board a few years back. So the money has been spent and they're just looking for a lower interest rate.
Any other discussion? Alderman Collins, thank you. Alderman Skidmore, thank you. Mr. Bradley, thank you. All those in favor of resolution 2022-22, please signify by pressing your green button. Those opposed, please press the red one. That passes unanimously. Now we have an item that was added to the agenda. This is resolution 2022-24. You have that in front of you, and we're going to have a proposed amendment on that as well. Need a motion? We have a motion from Alderman Brown and a second from Alderman Waters. Alderman Brown, do you want to propose an amendment? You were on and then you were off. Now you're on.
I'm on. I guess we need to explain it a little bit first. A resolution authorizing Handmade Market to use the grounds of City Hall for its market activities. That's been going on for a few months, like every other month. Some of you will see a craft, basically a craft show, craft fair out in our parking lot. We had another issue come up for general committee to ask us to use city logo for something. And so when looking into that, I questioned the use of our parking lot, whether it was being done correctly. I talked to Mr. Bradley, looked at our ordinances, discussed this with the mayor. The mayor proposed this resolution to allow this to continue on, and which personally I think at this point in time is something we need to do. This lady has already established her vendors, which are 40 or 50 folks, and they're expecting to be here. We're advertising. She is advertising on May the 21st that this will happen again. So the amendment that I want to add to this is, and Mr. Bradley may have to help me, is that this can be done with an agreement from her and the city that she can utilize our parking lot, approved by Mr. Bradley, with the issuance of $1 million liability certificate holding the city harmless if anybody would fall and hurt themselves. And that she would pay a $200 fee one time for whatever the rest of the year is. I think she has like 3 more planned or something like that. And this will all be done before May the 21st. So there's got to be, that's the reason it comes before you tonight. Basically to help her where she doesn't have to backtrack on a bunch of people. So, but those things, especially the insurance, the liability for the city needs to be done. If somebody gets hurt out there and there is no insurance holding us harmless, then we will be sued. So I think that's what, am I correct, Mr. Bradley?
What was the amount on that insurance?
The amount was $1 million.
I'll second that.
I appreciate that. Alderman Waters, second. And I'm the sponsor of this, and I think that the proposed amendment is completely appropriate. So, any discussion on the amendment? Alderman Collins on the amendment? Okay. Alderman Collins, go ahead.
As her number of vendors increases, will the $200 fee increase, or is that just flat? And is that a monthly or per use?
The amendment that I'm adding on there is for the rest of the year, be a $200 fee one time for the rest of the year. And then, and that's it. When, once 2023 hits, it'll be renegotiated or looked into.
Understood. Thank you.
I interrupted both of you. I apologize.
That's fine.
Alderman Cunningham on the amendment?
Yes,
Mayor. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So my understanding on the amendment, but I have other questions and comments other than the amendment, is that we're going to have a sunset clause on this amendment.
Yes.
So this resolution ceases to exist as of December 31st, 2022. Okay, and how did we come up with $1 million for the liability insurance? Was that recommended by council?
It's recommended by our insurance provider.
Okay, by the insurance provider? Okay. So that's adequate then?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. And then,
Well, it's also adequate, but it's also standard.
okay,
pretty much
that was my
standard.
question, because I have no experience with insurance, liability insurance type of coverage. And, all right, that's in reference to the amendment, but I do have other questions later on. Thank you, Mayor.
We'll come back to you then. Alderman Peterson?
Not on the amendment.
Okay, we'll come back to both of y'all. Any other discussion on the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by pressing your green button. Those opposed, please press the red one. That passes unanimously. Now we're back on the main motion. Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. My first question is this a 501c3 nonprofit organization that's running, what is it called? The Handmade
Marketplace.
Market.
It is not.
Okay, so this is a for-profit business?
It is.
Okay, are we setting, my question maybe is to council, are we setting a precedent here for for-profit businesses to do business on City Hall property?
If you approve this, you certainly are. We have a ethics rule that says use of municipal time, facilities, et cetera, that authorizes this. This is what it says. It says you can use city property for private gain or advantage of a private person or entity only if authorized by legitimate contract or lease that is determined by the governing body to be in the best interest of the municipality. So if you find this is in the best interest of the city, then you can vote for this, and we can do this legally.
So, would other for-profit businesses be able to come before us? Or do we do this like on a one-by-one basis, or is this setting a precedent for others?
I certainly would think others might consider it. I don't know if anybody else would come forward or not.
Okay,
The only other folks that I've been approached by was by a church
that's a nonprofit, right?
They were a nonprofit. They had for-profits here, but those are the only ones that approached me. And
Have
then
we
Earth
ever
Day.
done this before? I don't remember ever doing this before.
The only time that since I've been mayor, the way it started was when our former Public Works Director Chip Moore had Earth Day on the property and presented me with a policy that allowed me to approve that. So did that. Then it was about a year and a half later that this person approached me and using the same policy, approved that. She then approached Dave Lamarbe because he felt he should approve it. He approved it. And then she's had it once or twice this year, I believe. So, and has a schedule to do it more times. I was not aware of the code until Alderman Brown sent it to me. I was working under the policy that Chip Moore handed me. In our city recorder also, made sure that I was aware of. This is getting it to where it follows the code. I can't trump, my policies can't trump code. So we need to go with code.
Okay, the fact that it has a sunset clause is attractive to me. The fact that we're going to do it on a one-by-one basis, because we can't, it's hard to discriminate against other businesses that want to use city property for profit. Now, the Earth Day, I don't think was a money-raising profit type of thing, because I was part of the beautiful Hendersonville part, when we participated in that. Did we do anything else for a for-profit business like this before?
Earth Day did have booths there with for-profit companies there. I can't think of any other ones.
Okay, because I can't remember anything, but I've just been here 33 years, so it could have been here long before then. I have to really think about this if I'm going to support this or not, because if we establish this as a precedent, but thank you, Mayor. I
appreciate
just have to
that.
think about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Cunningham. Alderman Peterson.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The $200 fee for the rental, is that in line with what the parks charges other vendors?
Parks varies. Most of the time, I believe Parks gets somewhere in the 5% range. The only reason I said $200 is just to get us a fee on there to get us to the end of the year. I think probably the fee should be more like $200 an event than $200 period. But I thought if we could just, since this person has already established out there with 40 or 50 tents up and trying to get a compromise to get a resolution here where she could go ahead and finish the year out without making her folks mad. And then the sunset clause basically says it all ends and could start over and the fees reestablished at what we think it should be at that time. So, but it's pretty close to what Parks does. I mean, we get a fee for everything in Parks. If you go down to by the lake and you put 50 cents in and buy duck food, parks gets some of that money. If you go to the dog park and you buy a biscuit to feed your dog, parks get some of that money. If they have a vendor come in to sell hot dogs at a concert or at the parks gets part of that money. So we've never had anything do like that, except maybe Earth Day and this. So that's not the great answer, but that's where the 200 come from, is just to do something to get her through the rest of the year.
And my other
But it
question,
can be amended to be more if you want it to be more.
my other question is City Hall open to allow people to use the services?
No. I've been very clear about that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Peterson. Let's see, Alderman Collins.
Is there a reason that this doesn't go through the Parks Department for approval the way that, I mean, it seems like that would be the best fit, that Parks Department would approve an event just as they do when people, I mean, I've had fundraisers in the parks and it went through the Parks Department.
This is on City Hall property. It's not in our parks.
What are the rules for parks? They get a percentage, they have the insurance policy. Are
Alderman
there
Brown, you wanna do that one
other
again?
restrictions?
They get a percentage. Start sounding like Richard Sturgeon. Elvira.
You wish.
They get a percentage or they get a flat rate fee. Certificate of insurance is just kind of an automatic. That comes if you're going to be a vendor, you're going to sell anything, you're going to do anything that could harm someone, could get harm. Your insurance automatic comes there. I don't know why it seems like it might be smoother if it was put under the Parks Department, since it is Dallas, you want to help since you're back there?
Without objection, we're going to suspend the rules to hear from our Assistant Parks Director.
I didn't see you come in, but I'll use you if you're here.
See how I can help. So for all events approved for parks goes to the Parks Board. There's different fees to use the facilities depending on what it is. If it's an athletic field, a shelter, green space, and then on top of that, there is a vendor fee if they have vendors that are selling merchandise, food, anything like that. Our vendor fees are $30 per vendor per event. So that doesn't matter if it's a one-day event or a 3-day event. It's $30 for a vendor. And then all of our special events have to provide a COI for $1 million liability insurance.
Alderman Collins. Thank you, guys.
I wish we had more time to think about this, but I understand there's a sense of urgency, so I'm just going to put it out there and offer an amendment that as of January 1st of next year, that this should fall under the Parks Department, and their rental fees and guidelines would have to probably be established for City Hall, but it sounds like they already know how to do this and have done this similar thing. It's just a different location and that they would be best suited for it.
I think your proposal has to be an ordinance, though. I don't think we can do that under resolution because we would be amending code, which was created by ordinance. But we're happy to bring it up 2 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now. Honestly, I think we need to.
Okay.
I think we need to revisit this whole code anyway. So I'm happy to do that.
Okay. And Mr. Bradley, do you agree it needs to be an ordinance?
To do which
To
thing?
move this under, as of January 1st, to move this event under the purview of the Parks Department?
Well, you can make it as an amendment, I suppose it's a resolution, but I don't know that that accomplishes very much. It's something that's going to happen later anyway. We can deal with it. And it's sort of hard to call the City Hall parking lot a park. We've had this come up before.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember or not, but in 2009, we had a group that wanted to have a political rally in the parking lot at City Hall. And they were very insistent on having a permit to do this, and we don't have any such permit. And the mayor didn't have any permit to give. He wasn't the mayor then. We didn't have any such permit, and they got all upset about that, about their constitutional rights being denied them.
He can't hear you.
Really? Okay, sorry.
Okay, usually it's easy to hear me, but
Okay.
we've never had a permit. This is the first time we've tried to have any sort of an organized,
Okay.
for gain use of City Hall.
Okay, very, very good. I'm satisfied.
Okay, Alderman Collins, thank you. Jason, do we need to be doing something different? Are we good? Okay, sorry about that, thank you. Alderman Robertson.
Just to better familiarize myself, Mayor, is there any expense to the city when these events are held at the City Hall?
No, none.
Portable bathrooms, is the city responsible for that, or does the organizer provide any bathroom facilities?
They provide that. It's, we don't arrange it at all. They're the ones who get them out here, and they're the ones who make sure they're gone.
Okay. And what about cleaning up after they leave? Does the city have to clean up, or do they clean up?
Occasionally we have litter that ends up here. They very often leave it in better shape than when it started.
Good. I have no objections of voting for the amendment with the sunset provision. It seems like there might be a sentiment on the board to not allow these in the future, but for the time being, I'll support the amended motion.
Thank you, Alderman Robertson. Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a quick question. The lady that is doing the handmade market, is it a resident of Hendersonville?
It is.
It is, so it's not in the county, or they're in the Hendersonville proper. All right, because I'm not sure, I probably would be, I'm supportive of the resolution and amendment as it is now, but when it comes back to this board, I'm not sure that I would be in favor of it for a litany of reasons, which I'm not going to go over tonight because I'm not going to have the board with my comments on that, because it just doesn't really matter with it being so close. But I am in support of the resolution and the amendment as well.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. Alderman Edwards.
Yeah, I would like to possibly sponsor an ordinance to amend this ordinance to address events that occur in the parks and elsewhere. So, and it sounds like Alderman Collins may be open to that as well. So I may get with our city attorney sometime soon, because we probably do need to address that, hopefully within the next month or so.
I think that'd be helpful.
Okay. Thank you.
Alderman Brown.
Yes, the only thing I want to say, and I think Russ said it at the end, within the next month or so, I think this is something we need to handle within the next couple months. So everybody will know going into next year where they stand at. She'll know where she stands at, and anybody else that would, wants to try to go past that. So, thank you.
Okay. We have nobody else wishing to speak. We have an amendment that has passed. We're now back on the main motion, and that is a vote on Resolution 2022-24 as amended. All in favor, please signify by pressing your green button. Those opposed, please press the red one. That passes 10-1. Alderman Cunningham voted no. Next, we are on other agenda items. We have a vote on the appointment of Milan Hellman to the Board of Parks and Recreation. We have a motion from Alderman Brown. We have a motion from Alderman Brown. A second from Alderman Cunningham. All those in favor of appointing Milan Hellman to the Board of Parks and Recreation, please signify by pressing your green button. Those opposed, please press the red one. I am waiting on Alderman Skidmore.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is on the ordinance.
That's okay. And that passes. I appreciate that. That passes unanimously. Now we have some brief committee reports. General Committee, Chairman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. We approved our minutes from our past meeting. We discussed ordinance 2022-09, an ordinance relative to term limits for the members of the board and mayor and aldermen. That was passed and will be coming to BOMA. Resolution 2022-24, authorizing the handmade market to use the grounds of City Hall for its market activities. That was just handled. Resolution 2022-25, a resolution authorizing King KC Creations to use the city's logo on items produced for sale. That was voted down unanimously. Resolution 2022-26, resolution amending the job classification list and pay table with respect to traffic engineer was requested and approved unanimously. That's my report. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Chairman Brown. Chairman Petrelli, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mayor. We had no meeting tonight, but I'd like to thank everybody for their support of the new fire station. Also, I'm going to call up Chief Miller to discuss just a public safety issue in town that's already come up several times this week because we are into grass mowing season. Thank you, Chief Miller.
You want to ask me, or do you want me to just? Okay. So she asked me about putting out the cones. I think that was something that Alderman Brown had brought up several years ago. We had put out that directive for them to enforce that. And I know originally they did, and evidently they've slacked off. And so I've already addressed that with patrol tonight to say, let's get back on the ball in doing this, particularly since we're getting into grass cutting. I know we had an incident about a week or two ago where people were blowing grass out in the streets, and we sent John Henry over there, and after he ticked the guy off, the guy finally swept it up, but he was pretty upset about it. But we try to continue to do that when we see it. It's just that we don't always see what's going on.
Chief Miller, thank you.
Thank you, Chief Miller. Thank you, Mayor.
Chairman Petrelli, thank you. Planning Commission, Alderman Peterson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Planning Commission met Tuesday, May the 3rd, and I would like to yield my time to Director Free in case there was some questions about any of the ordinances or the resolutions that the commission passed or rejected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Peterson. The Planning Commission met on Tuesday, May the 3rd, and took the following action. Amended the FDP for the enclave at Anderson Lane, deferred the following development plan and site plan on Nearwater Place. That's going to come back at the next meeting next month. Also approved the site plan for Hazel Path Pavilion. This was a renewal of a site plan, so an extension of it. Denied the following site plan, 217 Shivel Drive, a multifamily site plan. Approved the following encroachment request at the Hunt Club, lots 110 of phase 6 through 11, 114 Higginson Place North, for an encroachment request into a conservation easement. And also approved a resolution amending the Planning Commission bylaws. And that's everything that we discussed at the meeting. In the meeting for the next month, we're going to be proposing several changes to the zoning ordinance. We'll probably have the text of that by the end of this week. By the middle of next week, we'll get that out to the planning commissioners and well in advance of our meeting, as well as we'll share that with the Board of Mayor and Aldermen as well for you to see those changes, proposed changes.
Okay. Keith, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have a report from our Chief of Operations.
First of all, I'd like to say to Mr. Skidmore, it's good to see you up here looking healthy. I'm glad that you're here.
Feel better, but you know it's better to look good than to feel.
And I also want to give a shout out. I know Chief Miller just mentioned John Henry. He is behind the scenes a lot, doing a lot for the city. So Mr. Henry, if you're watching, thank you. And Mr. Tim Nicholson does the same as well. So thank you guys for all the work that you do. On our city website, we have a news feed for CGI doing a video advertisement for businesses in town. So that's going to go out on our Facebook as well. So if you know any businesses who want to advertise, there is a link on our website where they can contact CGI. They're going to do a great shot video of the city, and then they have the chance to advertise on that. Good news today, we finished our paving list for the entire fiscal year a little bit early. So if you've been out in town, you've seen a lot of that paving getting done. So we've completed our entire list, and we're not even in June yet. So thank you, Sarah and Trace and all the public works team for doing that.
Pretty exciting.
So nice every time a new road gets done and you drive on it and it just You know, I brag on the roads from the city that I came from, but I actually think when they're done here, they feel a little bit smoother out here in Tennessee. So I think we got one up on them here. And for the Parks Department, we received a notification that we are awarded a grant for our LPRF grant. So that's going to do some turf at our soccer field, some lights for rugby. So Andy and his team has done a great job. I think that's about $500,000. And then we have a match of $500,000 too. So that's in our budget, but it's great to get the official news that we got that. Security cameras at soccer fields are up and running. Again, Andy and his team and the parks team have got those up and going. And then next weekend, we have a middle school state baseball and softball tournament here in the city. So that'll be busy. Great to see all those athletes here. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Cunningham, question for Jesse?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Jesse, you report, just for TV land, could you report on the light at Center Point Road, exit 2?
The
It's
status
up.
of it?
Yeah, it's up.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 100% done, but they're working on it. So, and that section of road is going to be next on our paving list. So it's just a lot of improvements that are going on Center Point. So good
Yeah.
to see all the progress.
And we appreciate it. Ward 3 and Ward 1 especially appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just the only thing I want to add is, could you make sure that on the Public Works Committee agenda that we look at the problem at 314 Raindrop?
Will do.
Appreciate that. Alderman Robertson.
Yeah, Jesse, also, we were awarded a grant for Beatty Farms, weren't we? Could you give us a report on that?
Yeah, so I think it was the Friends of Indian Lake who submitted for a grant. It's not the city's responsibility, but I believe it's an 80-20% grant. I think that'll take about 2 years, but that's great because it's going to improve some of the trails in that area over on Indian Lake, right behind Beatty Farm. So be able to utilize some of that space in Beatty Farms for everyone who lives there and in the city. So we look forward to that coming on board as well.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Jesse, thank you. You've got my report inside your packet. Anybody like to make a motion to adjourn? We have a motion from Alderman Edwards and a second from Alderman Waters to adjourn. All those in favor, press the green button. Those opposed, please press the red one. Oh, what happened to us, Jason? Do we need to do it again? Who are we missing? Alderman Petrelli, Alderman Skidmore, have you all voted? There we go. That passed unanimously. We're adjourned. Thank you all.